Adam and Eve video, Genesis chapter 4. The secret lives of Cain and Abel and Seth. Genesis 4, verse 1, King James Version. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. When we look at the site in Tibesti, we see in the rock formations that on the back of Eve, which was pointed out in earlier videos, we can see two shapes. These look like shapes of two children that this woman, Eve, has in her quiver, and the quiver is worn on the back. We see a woman's head with feathers in her hair. We see the fruit that she's wearing in front of her. And here we have giving the shape of two children. And here we even can make out a little baby sheep, small goat, or a kid. And according to the Genesis story, this is indeed a sheep. And here we have a simple line drawing. And again, on the crater floor of Tibesti, we see something akin to a baby sheep, a lamb, being held in the grasp of the child closest to the back of Eve. Thus this child must be Abel, and he was remembered as keeper of sheep. The narrator creates an opposition in occupations by calling the second child further to the left, and in reality further to the east, is being called Cain, a tiller of the ground. This theme of opposition is expanded upon in the following verses. Opposition was first suggested in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, where we read, And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Indeed, we see this on the crater floor. When we look northward in the crater, we see Eve bruising the head of Adam with her heel. Here we have a line drawing. This is Adam. This is Eve looking downward. And this is the breath of Adam. Now, if we look on Google Earth, we see this. This is the Tibesti Mountain Massif at the bottom of the Sahara in Africa. And here we look at one of the craters of the Tibesti mountain range. And here we have found Adam. And here to the right, more to the east, we see the head of Eve upside down. So we have an opposition because Adam is mainly looking towards the left, that is the west, and Eve is looking towards the south or east. We see this repeated here. When we look north, we have Adam in this view and Eve looking south. Again, in detail. Nevertheless, when we change our view, put this image upside down, and now look at the site in the southerly direction, we see a potential for harmony when man carries his wife, puts her on top of his mind, while she lives with the blessing and burden of motherhood. So now we have tilted our view. We look towards the south instead, and we see that Adam now has on top of his mind, on top of his head, Eve. And this is with a tracing. We get to see this. We see Adam, and on his head he is carrying a shape. And this is Eve, which we saw in the close-up zoom earlier on. In front of her, she's carrying fruit. And here we see her foot that is extending into the head of Adam. We can make a tracing of the terrain and we get this result. It quite accurately follows the shadows and lines on the terrain, and indeed appears as a woman with children on her back, and one of these children is carrying a lamb, and in front of her she's carrying a fruit of a tree and kind we do not know. We guess it is that either of a fig tree or some sort of sycamore. There is indeed a potential for harmony, but first, mankind will again become aware of his great capacity to do good or harm, even on a whim. When Cain kills his brother Abel as a result of a mere fit of jealousy, we become painfully aware of this. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou dost well, shalt thou not be accepted, and if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Now, Cain is asked to rule over his jealous inclination, but for some reason he cannot. When we look at the terrain in Tibesti, we see that one of the children is looking intensely at the back of the other child, and the other child, closer to Eve, is holding a sheep in his hand. The pierced stare of the child on the left must be that of Cain. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. And thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, Therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. From this verse it is clear that God, even when he condemns Cain to become a vagabond in the earth, does not wish him ill, because he will protect him from vengeance. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived, and bare Enoch. And he builded a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael, and Mehujael begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other Zillah. And Adah bare Jebal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass in iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, Hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. Seth, the third brother. According to Genesis 4:25-26, we read, And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and she called his name Seth. For God, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began man to call upon the name of the Lord. We believe we have found Seth. Alive and well, his face seems to be immortalized on the eastern flank of our Tibesti crater. But where do we find him? Well, if you look at the crater, and I show this in perspective, for good measure, then we can find that there is actually outside of the crater, when Adam and Eve have left the crater, there is a third child, and we can find that child. If we look closely, we can find that child here. So these are the coordinates. And again, for good measure, here we have Adam and Eve, and here we have Seth, the third child. So indeed, Eden is a place that keeps on giving and shares its secrets freely. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began man to call upon the name of the Lord. With the end of Genesis chapter 4, we conclude our overview of the striking similarities between the topology inside the crater of the Tibesti Massif in the African Republic of Chad and the chapters of the book of Genesis concerning the Garden of Eden. As we have demonstrated, Adam and Eve, the snake, the fruit and the trees, Cain and Abel, and Seth, the flaming sword and cherubim, still await us there. They are still guiding our return, welcoming back humanity into the Garden of Eden.